and Eric Sheets-Haber are going to be talking through this giant MLB slate. We've got all kinds of things going on. Nobody seems to have any idea what to do with their SP2. I think that we know what they're going to do, but it's pretty wild outside of the Hunter Brown chalk where the ownership's going to go. It's kind of amazing how many guys are like supposed to be 5 to like 9% owned. That and then the St. Louis game definitely has some risk. And the way that I'm treating things today is like if it's in the other tournaments, I don't mind if I'm going to have an Atlanta stack. That's not going to bother me. But I'm not going to do anything like that in the 33 in the $1 million tournament. I won't embrace any element of risk of the game even ending early. That's just where I'm at. Because of that, I might end up getting out of here just a little early because I do want to hear Ross Weather talking over the weather a little bit. Just because it is a weathery slate, and the other teams I like are not totally in the clear either, which is the Dodgers and the Dodgers game being the big one, and then the Cincinnati Pittsburgh game, which is another one. So really trying to figure out what to do on this slate. I may end up. I just feel something wrong about the Hunter Green chalk if that in fact happens. That's where I'm sort of struggling is my SP2. So I guess starting with pitchers, what are you looking at, Sheets, outside of Hunter Brown? I'm guessing you're playing Hunter Brown a good amount.
Yeah, I'm playing Hunter Brown, and I'm proceeding as though this Pittsburgh game plays. And the Dodgers, I'm proceeding as if it plays too. And this Pittsburgh game is actually my main idea is I'm either playing Hunter Green or Pittsburgh.
Right.
I think that's kind of the deal. Unless I just opt for a total later build, you know what I mean? Some like Dodgers, like A's, Angels, you know what I mean? That whole thing. Haven't quite decided yet, but I think those are the two options. But I'm glad you reminded me about this Atlanta issue because I was going to have exposure there, and I'm kind of with you on that one. I prefer to fade it, but we have a little time before that one.
Yeah, there's a little bit of time, and it's just we're gonna have to. It's just a matter of what we're gonna deal with. In my initial one, I really want to play some Atlanta, so I was getting to the Dodgers with Atlanta. That was what I was getting to in my big buy-in. I mean, and look, you can say BVP, whatever nonsense, all that stuff. Matt Olson is a guy who I always want to play when he's streaky. I always want to play when he's on a little bit of a hot streak. And I always want to play him against certain matchups. And this feels like a perfect spot for him. I also like guys like Laureano, who they have cheap options down at the bottom of the order that make it an easy stack. So I actually do have interest in that game. And it's 96 degrees with 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out the center. It's hard not to have some interest in. And it is shocking to see Atlanta with only a 4.4 run implied total here. That's weird. I really think it's way low, but whatever. So yeah, I'm going right now in my big buy, and I'll just say because it's probably not going to end up this way. It's Hunter Brown as my pitcher, but I'm debating between Gore, Green, and I think that Bobby Miller is an incredible pivot off of these guys. Can I get to that in the 3,300? If I'm playing the Dodgers, it actually makes some sense because I'm playing a little bit of a chalkier stack, and in order to get different, using the pitcher from that stack specifically is something interesting. I mean, his first start back, they let him throw 80 whatever pitches after the 2 months, of not pitching. And then he comes in and he goes into Colorado. His first start, even though he didn't pitch all that well, he gave 5 runs. He pitched 6 and a third in Colorado. And if I think there's a chance he goes 6 innings tonight against this White Sox team, I think that's a pretty interesting play. That Bobby Miller one is what I'm dealing with. Joe Ryan I like as well. I'm just having trouble to get the right parts of the Dodgers stack with Ryan and with Ryan and Brown. But I think that Ryan also has a lot of risk tonight. I think that Mackenzie Gore, who I like, has some risk tonight. Bobby Miller has the best matchup. So I'm debating whether I want to pull the trigger on something like that because he has the same upside as all these top pitchers. He has as much upside as everybody on the slate. I know that we could worry about him being limited to some extent. The White Sox will help you out because they chase a lot. So you're not gonna have to worry about the walks quite as much with a team like that. So that's sort of what I'm considering, And then on FanDuel, I'm playing. I have a FOT lineup on FanDuel, just to be honest. And I've got other than that, I've got Brown, Green, and Joe Ryan as the main guys for me over there. Are you playing on FanDuel tonight?
I am. Let me bounce a couple of ideas past you, off you, and whatever. I just want to talk about this for a second. So Hunter Brown is going to be 70% owned in the Millie, and 50 plus in everything else, maybe even more in everything else. Okay, it's a 12-game slate, right? That means there's 24 pitchers. Not really though, 24 pitchers, right?
Right. There's like 20.
Right, or something like that. But I mean, I just have this feeling that if you ran this through a freaking computer like a billion times, you're not supposed to play Hunter Brown at that ownership. I just don't know exactly what to do, because he's got. I mean, I don't think that he's more than 50% to be like a top 2 pitcher, if that means anything. Mm-hmm. Just because there's so many other guys that can put up any kind of number. You know what I mean? Like, what's he really going to get here? He's got a good floor, right? Because his matchup is so pure, but it's not like he's going to get 30, right? I guess maybe he can, but
he can get a lot. Yeah, he can get a lot more than that.
I mean, it just feels like I'm supposed to not play him, but I'm going to. And I don't know how useful this whole conversation is, but that was one thing I was talking through. The other thing I was talking through is like, if in fact like Hunter Green decides to be like really super chalky, then you got to pivot off of one of those guys. I don't think you can play them both, unless you play them both with like, I don't know, some like the worst stack on the board, whatever that is. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was just my thoughts in general on that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things, and this is why I always say to everybody that things are slate dependent. And I really think that like, this is the perfect example, because if you just told me that in a vacuum, it would be the easiest fade of all time. I don't have other guys who I feel good about. You know what I mean? That's the issue I'm running into. It's not like I have the Bobby Miller wild card play. I have the, Joe Ryan paying up for him, but he's in a tough matchup. Mackenzie Gore, but he's in a tough matchup, and these guys are all getting ownership too. So not like Hunter Brown, obviously, but so it is hard to get different with that. And would you want to take on, Toronto against one of the hottest teams in baseball at home in Boston in one of the best hitters' parks? That doesn't feel great. Kevin Gausman hasn't done anything to make us really want to play him in a long time. Mitch Keller, I think Mitch Keller is probably maybe the interesting counterplay of Hunter Green along with Bobby Miller. Mitch Keller has a ceiling, and we've seen it plenty of times. Cincinnati is definitely a boom bust offense. They're really good at home. And again, the issue I'm running into is like, who do I actually want to play? And the other one who crossed my mind was Seth Lugo as a potential guy to get different with. The weather there is very hitter friendly, but it is still Miami. Seth Lugo has been good, but I think Hunter Brown, and the hardest part, like I agree that naturally his floor should be the highest, but he's the type of pitcher where at least he was at the beginning of the year, where we were talking about this guy got lit up like a few times. And if you take those out of the way, he's probably like even higher owned today, because he's been pretty awesome for the last month and a half. He's been basically just really, really good every single time out. And his strikeout rate is phenomenal. He's going deeper into games. You know what I mean? All quality starts. What is it? 7 quality starts he's had in a row. All of which more than a strikeout per inning, except for one. I don't know, man. Or except for 2, I should say. No, except for 1. So that's where I'm going to end up with Hunter Brown. I think Hunter Brown could be 10K, and I probably would be playing him here, to be honest with you. He'd probably be still my highest owned pitcher. But because of the ownership, if I was playing in the lottery, that's why I think which entries matter so much. If I was playing in the lottery, I would have plenty of Pittsburgh stacks. If I would have, I would not be trying to use Hunter Brown or Hunter Green, either of the Hunters. And maybe I'd cap my Hunter Brown ownership at 20% and just, sort of see what else I got out there. But yeah, I hear you. It's hard to know who else to play. Thought I mentioned as a potential play. It's just really hard to figure out who you really want. Heaney's a wild card guy with upside, a lot of that stuff today on this slate. We don't have like the pitchers you feel really warm and cozy with, or even pivots off of them, that all the pivots and all the other stuff. I mean, even including Hunter Green's matchup, these are all very dangerous matchups, except for Hunter Brown's. So that's why I'm okay with eating the one part of chalk. I agree that trying to play him with green is probably not the right idea. Sadly, it gets me to the perfect build that I'm trying to, or the build that I really want. But I need the extra 100. I can't play Hunter Brown with what's his name in that, with Mackenzie Gore in that lineup. But I might go Bobby Miller instead of Hunter Green, and that would be pretty bold probably. So that's what I'm deciding on. What are you doing as far as stacks? So you mentioned the Pittsburgh side of things. I like that idea. What else are you thinking about?
Yeah. So I'm just kind of rebuilding everything right now, but that's what I was doing. I was getting Pittsburgh and Houston, as I mentioned, and the Dodgers. Those were the main ones. But I wanted to do another build and just take out Atlanta's and St. Louis's completely to see where that would lead me. I'm not getting any Cincinnati, which is, I guess that's okay. I don't need to have Cincinnati, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then Oakland and the Angels. I don't know if I'm going to get to any of these uber pivots. Like, remember I talked about Milwaukee a little bit. Oh, and there's the other one I want to mention to you, pitching wise. Again, we talked about a lot of guys, but I still go back to the Heaney's, I think, being pretty decent.
Yeah, I mentioned that as being a totally viable option. I agree, especially on this kind of slate. Like, he could have the best. There's absolutely no reason why he couldn't be the highest scoring pitcher on this slate. Like, really, no reason. He has this. They don't let him throw as many pitches, but when that happens, that's usually because he has like 11 strikeouts in 5 innings. You know what I mean? I'm okay. I like that gamble. I don't think I have the courage, the stones to put it in the 3,300 personally, but I might, because at the end of the day, I'm having a hard time figuring out what else to do. But anyway, hitting wise for me, I have the Dodgers number one. I understand they're going to have some ownership. There's a lot of ways you can stack them to get different. For what it's worth, what I like to do, because the Dodgers are obviously the team I'm most familiar with, but one thing you can do is, like, for example, Vargas, who wasn't supposed to be in the lineup tonight, versus Hayward, versus Lux, versus Biggio. Well, I know Vargas is not getting pinch hit for because he's a righty starting against a righty, and I feel much safer about him, where I feel like there's an excellent chance one or all of Biggio, Hayward, and Lux can get hit for. Lux is the second safest because he hits lefties pretty well, and occasionally they'll let him hit against lefty. But I do think the Vargas is going to be on the slightly lower owned side. I think Gavin Lux will be probably the lowest owned Dodger along with Biggio. And I think playing multiple of those guys at least gets you a little bit different. I also was flirting with an idea of maybe leaving like 400 or 500 on the table by playing them, just because you're going to differentiate your builds a little bit. And then the other thing I wanted to do was play them with Atlanta, who was not going to be particularly owned. But because of the weather, and because I'm going to go to my next favorite, team that I can play with them with, and that's the Angels. I like the Angels quite a bit tonight. So the Dodgers and Angels, it's an all LA night for me. If I'm going to win $1 million, what a better way to do it than just play all the LA guys? Maybe even switch the Dodgers into a 4-4 with the Angels. That's something else I considered. So, and
again, don't forget, you also get, the later the games, the better late swap you can accomplish. Absolutely.
Yeah,
and I still keep getting to this Miami business. You play them. You could play like Miami, like with the Dodgers, for example.
Yeah, that's another one.
They
are so cheap, man. They're like, this is one of the cheapest lineups I've seen in a while. Like, the highest priced player is 4,200. There's only 2 of their players are above 3,300. Like, they're just the bottom. So that was the other piece. Is I really wanted the one off of Berger, who's my sneaky home run bet tonight. But he's probably going to be the only one who's owned, because he's got the power and the wind's blowing out and all that stuff.
You like Boston at all?
I didn't get there. I'm not going to get there. It might be a little too much previous bias just based on Kevin Gausman. I would say that the team who's facing him have hit him pretty well. I don't know. I guess I just thought there was so many good hitting spots. I didn't really want to attack one of, at least historically, the better pitchers on the slate, even if he hasn't been that this year. And he's facing them for the second time in a row, which, again, could be bad. We don't know what to do. A lot of that today. A lot of second times in a row. Or there was a lot yesterday too. So So I'm high on the Angels. I also have a couple of on FanDuel. I like the super cheap Toronto stack, which I prefer over the Boston stack. So I guess that's where I would go instead, would be to play Toronto. So what I'm looking at is all the stacks that I have, because obviously you can play two on FanDuel. Toronto, Kansas City, Yankees, Rangers, and Angels, along with the Dodgers, obviously. Oh, and I have Houston as well. Wow, I really have a lot of different stacks in there. But I like the Texas sneaky stack, and I like the Oakland sneaky stack over there. They're very, very affordable, both of those sides.
Maybe I will play some more of this Boston. It's just seems like such a big slate.
Yeah,
to go with that, but he can get tagged. But I mean, why don't I just play? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do it at the end of the day.
And it's like if Boston, and they do have cheap pieces, but they're not the pieces you really want. Like Devers is 57, Duran is 54, Abreu and Valdez are reasonable, but like Tyler O'Neill's 52. Kind of like Yoshida. If I'm going to play against Gaussman, though, I also really want to play the lefties, and they put a bunch of them in there for you. The only righties they have are Rafaela and O'Neill, and maybe it is a good night for Boston based on. I like the lineup they released for it. It's I like the Yoshida in there, and Abreu batting third. I think that it makes sense. I just like other spots a little bit too much, and I also thought like in their lottery. I think I would take a little bit of shot chances on your like Garrett Cole thing. It's like I'm not talking about a huge percentage, but 5 to 10% of them, just in case. And by the way, in 5 innings, he could still be the highest scoring pitcher, because it's not like, yeah, there are guys with ceilings, and yeah, there's somebody's going to get there. But it's not like the typical slate where you go, oh, well, I'm going to need to get 1,000,000 points for my pitchers to have a chance here. Maybe you will, but none of these guys stand out as being, oh, well, that guy's going to put up 35 tonight. Like it just doesn't feel like it. It's possible, but it doesn't feel like it. I'm curious what everybody else out there is doing. I posted, for what it's worth, my early builds in the Discord. I'm gonna be editing them after we get off here. I do honestly need an A's lineup at some point, because that there's like so for example, like Aledmys Diaz is supposed to bat ninth. Max Schumann is supposed to bat leadoff against the lefty, and Max Schumann is 2,500. Aledmys Diaz may end up leading off, and he's 2,100. So you have an easy pivot,
right?
Diaz allows me that extra couple hundred to get, I can get my Rengifo with Neto and O'Hope in a Dodger stack, something like that. And I like that Angels thing a little bit. How much of the Yankees are you getting to do? I forgot. I didn't.
I'm not really getting any yet.
Yeah, I think they're.
I think I should though.
Yeah. And they have JD Davis there now, who's been good against lefties for a while. He's been a much better hitter. I mean, everybody's been a better hitter than LeMahieu this year. But even Jahmai Jones is
like JD Davis revenge.
Exactly. And right. JD Davis revenge. He's gonna have plenty of opportunities as he keeps getting moved around. He's always got a different hat than the team he plays for on all the things. But I do think also, like, again, Dodgers fine, single entry, larger field, smaller buy-in. But for the lottery, I would be okay with saying like max 4, just not playing the full 5, or maybe in your case, like if you did like maybe I would do a max 3, because I don't think you need to play that kind of chalk in a 20,000 person tournament. Whereas in a smaller tournament, I'm willing to take a chance to just try to win it. And in the 3K tonight, you have less than 1,000 people. You got 667 people. That's not that many people to beat versus, the 20 whatever thousand you'll have to, or 16.3 thousand you'll have to win the bat flip.
Just feel if you play this Hunter Green, Hunter Brown combination, you're just painting yourself in such a corner.
But even for less, let's just use like the 121 as an example. That will be the normal thing people do. Yeah, I hear you actually. I still may end up with it, and I have to figure out what to do, because JD Davis is a placeholder in my big lineup right now, just because I can't get the stack exactly the way I want to. but I'm waiting to see what Oakland does in terms of their lineup before I decide.
What time does that game start, that Oakland game?
There we go. We have the Oakland lineup. So of course, Max Schumann, who was projected to be leading off, is of course batting ninth. Daz Cameron at 2,600 is leading off. That's something I have to consider, because I do think Oakland's tough too. They pinch hit a lot too. Man, that's a pretty weird, don't make me consider. If Tyler Anderson was like 7,200, I think I'd consider him today, but he's 8,200.
I'm considering it.
It's interesting, right? Like, it's not that bad. I'm looking at the numbers for the A's, like against lefties. It's certainly nothing that would make you want to fade it. Like, I don't know. I'm stuck on that one. Yeah, the A's don't face as many lefties, but their lefty strikeout rate is in the top 10 in baseball, but their strikeout overall is like further down because they haven't had as many at bats. In fact, I think it's actually higher than that. I think it's like number 6 or 7 in the league in terms of strikeouts against lefties. But man, that would feel weird to play Tyler Anderson on any slate, to be honest. Cam's asking, would B Green the chalk guy you're leaning to fade because it's Cincy? No, I'm leaning to fade all of them except for Hunter Brown. I don't really know who else is there. There's no real chalk guy other than that, right? Like,
no. I mean, there's Hunter Brown and Hunter Green. I mean, really.
That's it. I don't think there's any other chalk. So.
Well, so who has like a ceiling of like the guys that are, I mean, like Gausman, I suppose. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm just throwing guys out.
Gausman, Gore, Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan. Forgot about him.
Heaney. Garrett Cole, Bobby Miller. Seth Lugo. Those are probably the ones with the ceiling that you'd have to worry about. Maybe Bello in some sort of a weird, like he runs really good or something. I don't know. That's probably it though. That's not just because it's in Cincy. I'm a Hunter Green fan, but like this is not like some unhittable where Hunter Green goes out there every time and just deals. He's been so much more consistent and so much better this year. But I don't think, like, first of all, I never feel comfortable in Cincinnati, especially not when it's 90 degrees and in the middle of the summer. Initially, the wind was blowing out and it was 100 degrees. Now it looks like it's gotten better. But he does have the upside. And he did just put up 30 against this Pittsburgh team. But that back-to-back matchup thing, I'm telling you, I kind of like the Pittsburgh a little bit if you're not playing Hunter Green. Again, I'm going to have some Green exposure, but I liked your Pittsburgh idea. And I think Pittsburgh is a better offense than they've been so far this season. I think they actually have more talent than they've shown. Let's see for Pittsburgh. And I'm just taking a look at their strikeouts here. I know they're top 10. Yeah, they're ninth and probably like number 6 or so per. I get it. It makes the Hunter Green thing feel a little bit more obvious. Shoot, I'm struggling a little bit with that one.
I'm probably going to end up with one of these late game pitchers. Either maybe Mackenzie Gore, maybe Tyler Anderson, or you know what I mean? Like maybe somebody like that. I think that's where I'm going to, especially in my Pittsburgh stacks, but
yeah.
I don't want to play the Atlanta. I don't want to play that. I don't think I want to play the Miami, Kansas City stuff. I don't want to play Colorado. I don't want to play. I might play Heaney, I guess. That's not bad. And I like Bobby Miller. You know what I mean? Like, how many times do we have to say this? You know, White Sox are terrible.
Right.
And Bobby Miller's actually pretty good. His last start, whatever. I mean,
yeah, I don't even think he had a bad start. I mean, that was a game in Colorado where they left him in to get the win, and they didn't get the win. You know what I mean? A game in Colorado, I'm never going to care about. I mean, Bobby Miller, in terms of talent on this slate, I'd say Bobby Miller's number 1. I'll just put it that way. I think Bobby Miller has more talent than Joe Ryan and Hunter Brown, who I think would be number 2. Oh, and Hunter Green. I put Bobby Miller, Hunter Green, then Joe Ryan, then Hunter Brown. I think it's very close between those 4. But they're the most talented pitchers, in my opinion, on this slate. They're just young. And it's not. I don't think it's my Dodger bias. I really think Bobby Miller has like the stuff to be like one of or the best pitcher in baseball. He's got like ski. I mean, remember before he got hurt, he started the year off with like that. What did he put up, like 40 in his first start of the season? Like, I don't know. Just the pitch count is a little concerning because I think they'll try to keep him under 85. Maybe they'll let him go 90. Bobby Miller.
That's annoying.
Yeah, and he's just coming off the injury. That's the part that keeps getting to me. And I'm looking at the expected pitches here on SaberSim, our SaberSim. Hunter Green is number one to throw the most. Mackenzie, he's the only one projected over 100. Mackenzie Gore is projected to throw 98. Then you get Gausman, Lugo, Hunter Brown. So they've got a little bit more of where they don't actually. Yeah, they've got Bobby Miller at 84 pitches. And that's the reason why Bobby Miller doesn't look like an incredible play, in my opinion. And I think but if you want to bet a prop, just take the over on Bobby Miller strikeouts. That's an easy way to win.
What is it, like 3.5 or something?
No, it's like, I think it's 4.5 with juice on it, but you can probably hike it up to 5.5.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, he had one bad start where he only struck out 2 in one game, and he was playing injured, and then he got rocked one game, and then he got injured in the other game, his other 2 starts of the season. So it's really hard to take what's happened this year, but I'm telling you, that guy is going to be good. Okay, so I'm going to try to figure out what to do.
It's still getting back to this Pittsburgh Cincinnati like decision, sort of.
Yeah, I get it. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have one of those things, like either Hunter Green or Pittsburgh.
Yeah. For what it's worth, if I was playing Pittsburgh, I probably would play Joe Ryan and Hunter Brown.
Gary Sanchez is out. Was
he going to be in?
I don't know. What team was he on?
He's in the Brewers.
Why did I?
Oh, he's in. Did you hear? Oh, is he out all of a sudden? Because he's
no. I just have him with a 0 projection. That's fine. Okay.
Oh, okay. Because it's all right. Yeah, he's batting 8th. I think the Brewers are. I mean, I didn't get to them, but they would have been like. I know I named a bunch of different stacks. A lot of good stacks today. But again, the Heaney thing works both ways. Like you could definitely make an argument that Heaney is in play, and you could definitely make an argument to stack the Brewers. Especially because you got like guys like Hoskins, who's a lefty killer for his career. Just Joey Ortiz, who's been awesome. Not lately, but overall. Awesome, maybe too strong. All right. Anything else, guys? What else do we have? So, can I get away with my double LAs to win $1 million tonight? I don't know. That's what I have to decide.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, you can get away with it.
All right. Well, then I'm going to try. Sheets, do you have much more, or are you okay if I jump out of here to go listen to the weather report?
No, you can jump out. I'm
Okay.
just building my stuff.
Yeah,
I guess that's it.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool. No, good. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Good luck. And remember, Sheets is going to be doing the 11 Eastern live sweat. I'm going to join probably just a few minutes later than that, but see you guys a little bit later.